Hi, so I am joined today by Ben Cohen, who was an integral part of the England Rugby World Cup winning squad in 2003. He's danced on Strictly and now he tackles bullying with his charity, the Stand Up Foundation. Ben, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
That's all right, no problem.
So, talk to us a little bit more about the foundation. What do you do? What's the work you're doing?
Well, I founded the foundation back in 2011, not to reinvent the wheel, but really to highlight what bullying does and the effects it has on people long term, and look at really the last of the isms. Really, we still have racism and homophobia and transphobia was really the sort of last stigma to tackle and break down the barriers on that. It was definitely a bit out of left field. People didn't expect it. I've had a fantastic journey with it. So yeah, it was nice to highlight that. It's nice to support that with grants that we give out with the foundation and make a difference.
It has never been more important to stand up against bullying. It's getting worse, which seems crazy because as adults, we know better. We know we should treat each other with respect. We know we should be kind. And I suppose that brings me on to the reason we're talking today. The online abuse suffered by BBC reporter Sonia McLaughlin after Saturday night's game. She interviewed Owen Farrell after the game, asked a couple of questions about some controversial decisions during the game. Owen decided he didn't really want to talk about those things at that point in time, which is his decision. She received an awful lot of online abuse where she was tagged, where some quite unkind comments were thrown her way. To the point where she actually posted on her Twitter that she was sat crying in her car. What was your immediate reaction when you heard about that?
Well, firstly, it's horrible, but let's take a step back. Bullying online is made easy. Bullying now is the easiest it's ever been. But you can create an account, bombard someone, trolling them, abusing them, close your account down, open up another one, and it's so easily done. As a journalist, she interviews incredibly well. I thought her interview with Ori was spot on as a player and a player's perspective. When you're not performing as a team or an individual, to highlight the obvious is horrible. It is horrible, and I thought Ori did a great job. I thought that Sonia's interviewing technique, I thought was brilliant. I thought that she it wasn't like I'm probably talking like, oh well, a little bit. It was to the front. It was very quick, precise, and concise. Unfortunately, with social media, you have to take the high road, highlight it, just say this is the abuse I'm getting, and block them.
That advice is good for anybody who's experiencing online abuse, isn't it? You block, you ignore, you block, you move on, you report them to the social media channel that it's on. But actually, by engaging in them, by talking about how much it's upset you, you're potentially actually just feeding them what they want. They're there to cause trouble. They're there to create that reaction.
And I don't mean to move the subject because it's very black and white if someone's being bullying and it's been abusive. That's clear cut. So what is bullying?
That's one of the biggest issues, isn't it? Is the grey areas around bullying, what's banter. For me, bullying is those people who have set out deliberately to cause someone upset. People who are saying, for example, in Sonia's case, she's terrible, she doesn't know how to do her job, she doesn't know anything about the game of rugby, and tagging her in that.
We just summed up what bullying is. It's something that it's intentional. It's directed. It's daily, day in, day out. We look at bullying in the workplace, bullying at school, and all things like that. Is that what is bullying? Because accountability is bullying.
It causes real harm. We only have to look at the situation with Caroline Flack to know that repeated online abuse, whether it comes from one person or whether it comes from multiple different sources, can have a really big long-term impact. So I suppose my final question to you, Ben, would be, do you think more regulation is required on social media to stop attacks like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in gaming, abuse and bullying is horrifically high. And I know it's out there, but simple steps to understand what it's like to be online. For what you could expect. I think especially parents have a huge role in that. And understanding what being online and sort of the issues that potentially it can cause. Because being online can be a great place. Being online can be a horrific place. If you're getting bullied, get out, block them, move away from it. And that whole education of purpose, educating that next generation will drive that change and drive a cultural change if you're looking for racism or classism or sexism. It's such a bigger issue. And it only takes something, what happened to Sonia to really try and drive home a particular issue. I thought they are both very professional. With Caroline Fleck, she killed herself because of the pressure from the press. Has it changed?
Yeah.
No. Tell me how you see change.
I see change in things like your foundation. I see the fact that there exist charities to help educate, to help drive that change from a younger age now that didn't exist 10 years ago. And I think you're right. I think that education has to start young. It has to be consistent. And I think it has to be wider spread.
Having doing a lot of talks in businesses, and you don't talk of bullying. They don't talk of bullying. Yeah, bullying's the elephant in the room. How many people put their head above the parapet and saying, I'm getting bullied? And they would say, I got bullied today, I get bullied every week. The banter's, are very cutting. The environment's so racist or sexist or classist or whatever it may be. But how many people challenge it? Because when they do, that's when they get up, you're the troublemaker.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with a lot of companies, is actually the environment's wrong. The values are wrong. They may be archaic. When you're a £1 billion company, it ain't broken. Why would I want to fix it? It's what I experience. It's what I see when I go into companies. We talk about bullying, but you're not allowed to mention it. It's like, well, what do we do? We wrap it up in equality, diversity. That's what we wrap it up in. It frustrates me that we're still having a conversation about, like racism. I got asked to be on a board of a sports channel, and they're doing an initiative spending £20 million because they feel that it's time to do a push on racism. Racism in sports been there for God knows how long. It happened in my uncle being Jewish. You get racist slurs, and over time, it's obviously within the black community or anyone's perceived to be different, you get bullied. So we look at the racism issue. I feel that we're in 2021, and they feel they need to spend £20 million on tackling racism. Where were they before? They've been around for decades. So why is it so important now? And what are you doing? And this is what I was asking them. They had a black lady and a white lady who was in charge. I'm categorizing it, not just to the point of, it was so important for this company to really do stuff around racism. But the black lady said half a sentence and then got cut off by the white lady. And now campaigns frustrate the life out of me because there's no legacy being left. Right. You want to spend 20 million quid. What's going to be left to tackle racism? How are you going to educate that next generation to drive cultural change with a campaign? Some of the companies that I have been in, and I have to be fair, they do an amazing job. It all comes down to values. How do you create an environment? What's the values that you are living and breathing as a company? Being part of a successful team is, why wouldn't you want to go to work and be successful? Like, why wouldn't you want to go to work and enjoy it? Like, why wouldn't you want to be part of something that you may be doing something special? And I can't understand why they want to create an environment that people come to work unhappy. They don't want to talk or communicate. They don't really want to do any overtime. I don't understand it, but it's worked for them, hasn't it? And if they're an archaic company, why change something when it ain't broken?
But you know what? The thing that's most frustrating is that it's such a short-sighted opinion, because yes, it has worked for them, but they could be making 10 times more money if they treated their staff right and they had an actually motivated workforce. So, yes, at a glance, it's worked well, but in reality, they're not even fulfilling their potential. They're treating people like crap, and no one's going to work hard if they're treated that way. So,
I agree. I agree. I think that when you've got a happy workplace, things happen, and that's for sure.
Anybody who's watching, the link to the Stand Up Foundation will be on screen any minute now. So if you want to find out how you can get involved, how you can support Ben and the work he's doing against bullying, please just click on that link, have a little look, maybe put a little donation through as well. But thank you, Ben. I really appreciate the time you've taken today, and it's been great to hear your thoughts.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.